I think I see my brother, my pal, my buddy, my sometimes bodyguard, Wes Wyatt, again live.
You do, and I'm hard to miss, Randy.
Well, that's true. But you're getting less hard because you got that albino thing on your face, which is
I know. And the day that you say I can't see you, that'll be the day we know it's time to go to the eye doctor.
Yeah, exactly. So, man, it's just awesome to be every day. We just keep building wins together, and we just keep, you do all your podcasts and your shows and your social media stuff and all your other clients, and it's just we're just visibility equals opportunities, and man, we're doing that, aren't we?
Well, not only that, but this is our fifth show today, or in the last 2 days, I should say. And like you said, with all the great people that you're out visiting, doing the hybrid road warrior, Randy, that you are, and the amazing clients that I am lucky enough to work with, you being one of them. We are blessed beyond blessed to not only have those two worlds, but at the same time, be able to collaborate here on building wins and, have people like our guest today.
Exactly. And you know what? I can't ride one, but I like segues. And I think that's a great segue. I think we should just quit talking and bring on our guest, Jay Skinner, today. What do you think?
I think that's a great idea, and I am ready for the melodies that he's going to bring us.
He will bring us some melodies. Folks, don't miss the start of this. Let's do it.
And we're live.
We're live with Jay Skinner, the one and only. Yeah, that's great stuff, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Randy. Thanks for having
me. The electric piano, right? Is that the right term I want to use?
That's what it is. That's right.
Yeah,
that's
awesome.
Piano.
That's awesome stuff. Well, welcome and thank you for being on and just build some wins together for a little bit.
Absolutely. I'm excited about this.
Well, as we are too. Wes and I have been looking forward to this, and we love the work you do out there and everything you do. And you have so many monikers. I had to shrink it down a little bit here, but the plastic pallet guy, the CEOextender.com guy, host of the buyer and seller show, right?
Yep.
Man, you just get your fingers in a lot of stuff as well.
I do, and this has just been really. I've been the plastic pallet guy for 30 years, and that was a professional thing that I did starting with as part of a startup back in 1993. It was called Stratus Plastic Pallets, and we went into that business. It was me and the owner, and we built a big multi-million-dollar international company over from 1993, and then in 2018, after we went through a couple of private equity purchases. I left for other pastures, and I quit because they weren't going to fire me, but had a good run there and just decided to do something else. And then what it morphed into then was a continuation of my plastic pallet business after I got over all the non-competes and everything. But what really happened was I began to do for other companies what I'd been doing for one guy for 25 years is that was working as an extension of the owner of the company, a sidekick.
Okay.
And I was like a CEO extender, and I get jobs done, and we work things, we build markets. I had patents, I designed things, did all that kind of stuff. And now I've done professionally for myself what I'd asked him to do, pay me to do for him for years.
Perfect. So you took your experience working with the CEO, and the CEO extender just makes sense because you're taking services to other CEOs out there or businesses that need that experience, that expertise, that maybe don't want or can't afford to hire a full-time person on staff, right? But they
have projects. Yeah. They're up to their eyeballs in projects, and everybody around them is full too, and they just really need to get something done. and they need someone that's, been around the world a few times, that's done a lot of things, built, a big company and had a lot of experience, and just to, I say, sit at the round table right beside them, once a week and get some stuff done. And I'm the kind of guy that they can just say, take that mountain, and as long as I know where the coffee pot is, I'll probably be able to get it done.
Yeah, there you go. Yes, a man that loves his coffee. I do stop drinking by this time of the day because I do like to go to sleep at night sometime.
Yeah, I hear
You,
you.
so you usually I stop at about 7 or 8, but this today was about a 10 cupper. But so,
I
no, I'm
I
good.
gotta say I do love it too.
Yeah, it's good stuff. And it's funny, Jay, that I love it so much because in my early years, career as a sales guy, um, or to play off of Zig Ziglarism a little bit, to help other people get what they want or need guy, right? Which
Mhm.
is what I really prefer to see myself as. But I remember calling in home selling post frame buildings, pole barns. And I was young, 21 or 2, and I'd go to this farmer's home or whoever. They'd always ask you if you got a cup of coffee. Well, you being young and not really knowing what I'm supposed to do, I didn't want to insult them or feel like I didn't want to do anything to get in the way, right? So yes, of course I'll have a coffee. And I was drinking 3 or 4 cups at each stop, and I hated coffee. And 2 or 3 years in, my dad, who I worked for, says, you know, if the only reason they buy or don't buy is because you have coffee with them, that's never going to be a good sale ever anyway. Just say, thank you, ma'am, but I don't really drink coffee, but I appreciate it. And if they say, would you like a water? Yes, that'd be fine. But I go, you couldn't have told me that 3 years ago. And so I was drinking all this coffee. And so I went through a period of years that I hated coffee. But fortunately, I've got back into it, and it's my go juice of choice every morning. So
I like
it's
it too.
it's
And I got a coffee story for you.
okay.
Growing up, my dad was in business, but he was in government. He was a good public servant, worked for the governor, and was the purchasing agent for the state highway commission and the state personnel director, and had governor kind of appointed jobs. And um, he really knew how to handle himself in a crowd with a lot of business people. And he taught me this, and I was very young. It's like, when you drink coffee, he said, drink it black. He says, so they don't have to fiddle around with the spoons and the sugar
Uh,
and everything else. And that was one of the best sales tips I ever got. So I learned to drink coffee black. So when people offered it to me, if I wanted to have some coffee with them, they said, well, what would you like with it? I said, just black,
yeah,
just so they don't have to fiddle with all that stuff.
there you
There's a
go.
sales tip for everybody.
That's a great tip. Sales tip 101 already, right for the day. But that is it. I can go either way. I don't do sugar. I add sugar to nothing, zero, and I add
Mhm.
salt to nothing. Not that anybody cares, but I uh, I do prefer a little bit of like a heavy cream or something in my coffee. That might be my preference, but I can drink it black
Yep.
because I've been in some places in my life where, shall I say, I didn't trust the cream that they're going to give me. And then once you
Yeah.
say yes, I'll have cream, you almost stuck, right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can't look at it and go, oh, God, except for not
That's
your
right.
cream. So I decided that in most cases like that, I just take it black. You're right. So Jay, let's maybe a good place to start because I do want to talk about 2 or 3 things. Anything else you want to talk about? But
Mhm.
the uh, the plastic pallet industry, that's that's tell me about that a little bit because I find that intriguing. I mean, I know what they are. I ship a lot, millions and millions of dollars a year through all my different manufacturers, and they're all shipped on pallets of some type. So I'm very familiar with pallets. But how did you get into plastic pallets? Because I think if I remember right, you kind of got into plastic pallets before that was really a thing, right?
Oh, yeah, is certainly was early in the history of plastic pallets. And uh, the thing was, is I don't think anybody, and this is off my website. This is examples of some
Mm-hmm.
some types of styles and designs that I do. I do a full turnkey um, pallet design program for someone. If they need a super heavy duty plastic pallet, just come to me. I can take them all the way from design and engineering, all the way into manufacturing and fulfillment. It's just what I do.
Got it.
But well, when people are looking for a job and trying to make money, it's funny when you're growing up, most kids don't say, I want to be a salesman.
Right.
Salesman is kind of what you do when everything else fails. And it's like not for everyone, but I kind of laugh. It's fun. It's fun for me to say that. It's not a negative.
Hmm.
And growing up in life, my mom always wanted me to be a doctor. It's like, and then I was a piano player and I loved playing. I did that professionally for a number of years when I was in high school and then later into my early 20s. But one of the things that I always had to do if I was playing, I had to sell. I had to sell my band, to the country club, so they'd hire
Hmm.
me. Or if I was in Little League or Boy Scouts, I was selling candy door to door or things like
Right.
that. So I knew I could talk to people and sell. And I finally got to the point where it turned out that sales and selling was a thing for me to do. When I went to college, it was like, well, I didn't find anything there to do either. And so sales and selling happened to be the one area that I could excel and work at. And then what I decided to do, and you know about this, is you can either be a mediocre salesperson or elect to be in the top 10%.
Yes.
And I said, well, as long as I can sell something, I've sold everything from vacuum cleaners to cemetery property to insurance to investments, and then finally plastic pallets. Uh, the bottom line was do awesome at it, be excellent at what you do. I think Robert Schuller once said, or somebody said, um, success equals substance plus style. And I will tell you that when you start something, you got a lot of style and excitement and
Hmm.
enthusiasm, but the substance needs to catch you up.
Right. Right.
And that's what I elected to do was not just become someone that could go out there and sell something and make a commission, but I was going to try to become great at it by studying and listening to the tapes and reading the books. And I had the luck when I was selling newspapers as circulation manager, a writer, and a photographer for a newspaper. I had the opportunity to meet Zig Ziglar and Norman Vincent Peale and some of these other greats. And then over the years, I set my heart on getting to know people like that, like a Brian Tracy or a Tony Alessandra or just on and on, these great people. How about the King of Sales? Now become one of my best friends that wrote the Little Red Book of Selling,
Hmm.
Jeffrey
Yes.
Gitomer. And
Yes.
I know he's a friend of yours as well. Um, so I elected to try to become really good at sales and selling and marketing. And then the product was incidental. So I go through some life changes and business changes. And one day I was at church going in the door, and the guy standing there at the door, I knew him. He owned a plastic company in my little town, Plainfield, Indiana. And I was looking for a job. I'd been in one, number of things had changed. I was looking for something to do. And I'd seen his plant and wondered, what are they doing in there?
Hmm.
Well, as he handed me the program going into church, I said, Mr. Clutter, my name's Jay Skinner. I'm a salesman, and I'd like to talk to you about maybe what you guys are doing, and maybe we could work together on something. I don't know. He said, well, that'd be great, Jay. Why don't you come on over to the plant Monday and we'll get to know each other? Well, one thing led to another. He hired me into that business, and turns out he was doing plastic pallets.
Hmm.
That was the biggest part. It's like, holy cow. How cool
Wow.
is that? Molded plastic pallets. He was one of the true pioneers of the industry, even while I got in there. And I worked for him for a couple, 2.5 years, and I got out of that. And another company picked me up about 6 months later, a startup, and they said, we want to do packaging. What can you do? Well, fortunately, I was able to talk to him about plastic pallets that I knew about. And I said, I've got some ideas on how to do it. And fortunately, I didn't have any non-competes or anything like that, but I didn't call the guy's old customers. I said, I made up my own non-compete. I'm not going to call his old customers. They can just come to
Yeah.
me.
There you go.
And we built a multinational, international plastic pallet company based on using target markets, folding carton industry, corrugated industry, the flexible packaging industry, and specialized, highly engineered plastic pallets to carry their work in process around. And it's like you saw some pictures of pallets that do some of that stuff earlier.
Hmm.
I mean, it's like, oh my gosh, I ended up having the whole government of Mexico talking to us about special containers to carry their currency. And the Bureau of Engraving and the Federal Reserve I got to design and got involved in developing something that would work in their automatic storage and retrieval systems. Uh, what a fantastic traveled in every country. I don't know about every country, but every continent except
Hmm.
for Antarctica and had customers. How
Wow.
cool is that?
That is cool.
And it's science. Plastic pallets is like just like everything else, just like your stuff. I mean, Randy, I mean, gee, you just sell metal roofing. Can't be much to that, right? Not
Right.
really.
Yeah.
The same thing with plastic pallets. Guy will say, well, how much do they weigh? I'll say, well, what are you comparing it to? My wood pallet. Well, how much does it weigh? It's either more or less, depends on the
Right.
pallet.
Exactly.
So there's a lot of science. By the time I was done, I had 8 or 9 different patents that I'd done from designs that I developed, worked with customers, and was always on the cutting edge of that industry. So I loved it. And so obviously, I can go on and on and on. So there you
No,
go.
but no, that's interesting. It's always fun to see how people start with things. And I think the passion for it, the belief in yourself to go ahead and make this happen, I think is key. And I think another thing is key that I found listening to you, Jay, is that you took an area that nobody knew anything about, that was brand new. You weren't afraid. You pioneered it, and you used the concepts that would work. If it wasn't plastic pallets, you'd have done the same thing in any other widget, because
Mhm.
all those things that it takes to be successful in building a business and in building a sales career, it doesn't matter what the widget is, right? That's the thing,
That's right.
right? Because people was buying Jay Skinner, and you
That's
happen to
what
have
they buy
pallets,
to begin with. They
right?
definitely do. They have a trust in the individual that they're dealing with, and then it's up to me not to let them down.
Correct, correct. So
Uh, the green rule. Well, I want to make sure we talk about that. Do for yourself what you're asking other people to pay you to do for them. Think about that. Do for
okay,
yourself what you're asking other people to pay you to do for them. If you are out there as some sort of a consultant helping other people and do something, because we have a combination group here. We have people that are employed, and then we have people that are self-employed, kind of consultant helpers bring a
hmm,
service to the market. Take a look at what you're doing, and whatever it is you're trying to get other people to pay you to do for them, if it's put together their digital marketing program, or uh, you know install a contact manager, or whatever it is that you're teaching them how to do and to be good at, create processes, better ways to manage their projects. Make sure that you're doing it for yourself as well, and that'll help your business grow.
good advice. That makes that's almost like the if you're going to open a I don't know, let's pick a name, an Italian restaurant. You probably ought to learn to like Italian, right? And eat
Probably
Italian
ought to.
food, right?
It
Probably
probably
ought
ought
to.
to.
Yeah,
If
might make
you're
sense.
eating Mexican during lunch around all the employees, it's not going to do
Yeah, yeah.
much for you.
That'd be like I just was envisioning this, but I could see you're the owner or the GM, and it's a Mexican restaurant, which I happen to love Mexican food.
Me too.
But they're all working and serving customers, and you come in with your lunch, and you went to the local Italian store down the thing with, you went to Frizoli's or something, right?
Yeah,
It just do it at home maybe if you want, right? But that is a bad message to send, right?
it's a
Uh,
bad message. It
that's
is.
funny because it's a visual world, right? I mean, invisibility equals opportunities, but they can also equal bad opportunities if you're not careful with what you do with it, right?
Yes. One of the things that we talked about, getting into the pallet business and being in sales and electing to be on the top level of sales rather than on a bottom level.
Hmm.
And you get that through self-improvement and continuous education, going to the seminars, reading the books, listening to the tapes, being part of getting better all the time. And to this day, I continue to get better. I was just at a seminar a whole weekend in Wild Dunes, uh, training and getting smarter here a couple months ago.
Yeah,
And I never stopped reading, never stopped listening to those books. Um, that keeps you going.
right.
And if you listen to my show from a couple weeks ago, it was don't say retire, don't say retire. You can
Yeah.
only play so much pickleball.
Exactly.
Come
And
on
I
now.
live in the pickleball capital of the world, and I don't play pickleball.
Good for you. It's like I would like to try it sometime. It'd be fun. But pickleball, shuffleboard, all that kind of stuff. How many people get to be in their late 50s, 60s, 70s, and they retire? And it's like, what is retirement anyway? There's another
Right.
lesson. Come on now. Just keep going and let the grim reaper catch you from behind.
Exactly. Exactly. Hey, I've many times said that Oh, one of the one of the products that I sell through many things, but through broad spectrum, but is barn door track, right? And I've often said that I want to be in the perfect world, just close this really good deal, help people get into the business, and then fall over into the barn door track display, and we'll call it a day, right? I mean, that's that, and
It's
everybody would go, "How could you be sad?" He went out doing what he loves to do, and
exactly.
that's key. And I keep, it's interesting you say because I keep taking on more stuff, and it's because it's my hobby, it's my everything. I don't golf, I don't play pickleball. My hobby is doing things like this
Mhm.
and growing business, and because that's where I get my juice, right? And
Yeah, and I think you get your juice from helping other people be more
exactly,
successful. You mentioned
exactly.
Ziegler, helping other people, enough other people get what they want, you get what you want.
Hmm.
And you and I are of the same philosophy and the same mindset. And as long as I've been alive, I don't know how this works, but it always seemed like my goal was to help other people be more successful, to serve them, to be an enabler or a helper. I will tell you what, so many times, even when my kids were in school and in little league and things, I was the best assistant coach. I really was. I was
Hmm.
always the best assistant coach, and I do it on the teams. And I would just look out for things that need to happen and fix them before they went wrong. Or if they did, I'd be the guy to talk to the coach and say, "Hey, I can take care of this. Let me do that. This is in my wheelhouse," which became a career for me. The way I helped when we were building Stratus plastic pallets, uh, and then now has become a business for me as the CEO extender. Just standing alongside the president of the company, the owner, and taking care of stuff he doesn't have time or maybe it's not in his wheelhouse to do.
Yep.
And it's like, take it. You got it. We'll take care of this. This is what I do. How
Yeah.
do you people like to have someone like that that they can trust? They know what they're doing. And I just report back. And every now and then, if I need to do something that I think I need to ask them about, I just give them a call. Hey, Joe, thinking about doing this, blah, blah, blah. What do you think? Do it. That's the way it works.
Exactly. You know, and you hit on a super key. And when you talk about Zig, this set on my desk right now, because I just did a
See you at
book
the top.
recommendation on that, and talked about. I believe it's a mutual friend, but Ben Gay the third, who's become a great friend of Wes and I's in the show, and he sent me this book because he realized that I lost my See You at the Top book over the
Uh-huh.
years. So he sent me a used copy of his, which was really cool. But anyway, uh, but I love that concept that Zig talks about. Uh, it was just what you said. Just continue to help other people get better, and you will automatically win along the way.
Absolutely.
It is really a simple concept that a lot of sales guys, and that's one thing. If I talk to anybody new in sales and they ever want to know what I think, it's it just you got to put that in our case the customer first. Put them first, take care of what they need, and just do what's right and be a man of your word. All the stuff that we can say, right? But all that stuff
Mhm.
is really true. It's not just words. And if you live by that, you can be as successful as you want. And because nobody's going to be successful if it's not win-wins for everybody. At the end of the day, my take is it's not going to be a good program. If you and I put a deal together and I win it all and you win zero, sooner or later you're going to walk away, or vice
That's the
versa,
truth.
right? It's just going to
Yeah.
happen. So we have to both have some kind of win out of that. So he took the plastic pallet world and then the CEO extender, and let's kind of chat here towards the end about you're hosting a really great show, and you mentioned the buyers and sellers show, or buyer
Yes.
is yeah. Tell me how that all got started, because that's very good. I've watched it many times, and
Well, thank you. Uh, Jeffrey Gitomer wrote a book called Go Live.
Hmm.
Okay.
I have the book
And
somewhere.
October 2018, I left Stratus. I did some other stuff. And it wasn't long before the pandemic thing set in. And Gitomer was going live every day.
Right.
I somehow ran into him. We became friends, found out about this. I've always been tech savvy. I've been doing computers since they were invented, and I can
Hmm.
outcomputer most computer guys, and which is a little bit of a surprise to him, but I can do pretty good. And the whole idea of going live and having a show was new. It's like I see other people do it. I didn't know what I was going to do it. You'll notice I don't generally call it a podcast. Other people will call it one. It's certainly a podcast by all definitions. I call it my internet show because I'm imagining it like my own TV show.
Oops. Yep.
I'm on TV, play the
Yep.
piano
Well, you are.
and do like I said, hello everybody, glad you're here. And it's like, welcome to the Buyers and Sellers Show. Well, what's it about? He and his wife Jen inspired me to go live. And
Mhm.
I started, and in February, like it's February, first week of February, it'll be 2 full years of consecutive Friday morning broadcasts of the Buyers and Sellers Show, which is live. And it all accumulates on a YouTube channel. It's live on LinkedIn. It's live on Facebook, on a number of channels. It's live on Twitter. And it goes on all these channels and it accumulates. And then people can go to my website if they want to see some and look at the topics. And what happened was it became my living like resume or what I
Right.
stand for and believe, because I have a guest about once or twice a month, most at the most. The rest of the time I'm riffing on different topics, what
Mhm.
I think about this or what I think about that. And we talk about retirement or prospecting, presenting, and closing. We're all buyers or sellers.
Right.
I buy something and then I sell it. Find me someone that's not acting as a buyer or a seller sometime and doing transactions with the world, in the world, and needs to know how to do those better. And so I have guests, I have, stars like you have on, the famous people. Some of them will come on my show, and then some not so famous that are talking about really cool things. I said, come on my show, let's do this. And then the rest of the time I'll show up here and we'll talk about a topic, and I would encourage people to check it out. Like me, find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, and you'll get notifications if you want. You can set it for that. But every Friday morning it's live, and then after that, if you go to my YouTube channel, you'll see the most recent ones on top and check it out.
Yeah.
Some
Well,
people have said I really like that, and from a business standpoint, my clients know how I think and how I behave and what I think of by watching the show as well.
well, that's a great point because and the way you started sounds very similar to how we started building Wins Live here that we're doing right now. Was I'm an old school road warrior. That's what I always was.
Yeah, me
All of a
too.
sudden, I couldn't go kiss babies and bro hug and burgers and Dr. Pepper in the evening. Right, I'm stuck at
Mhm.
home. Needed a way to be in front of my customers. Right,
Yeah.
and never stopped. Now I just hybrided it to combination of both. But I think you're 100% what you just hit on, Jay, is really correct. That people, if they follow you, if people follow me, before we ever meet, you got a pretty good idea who I am or who you are, right? Because if you
Yeah.
follow me often enough, I'm going to tell you because I'm not smart enough to make up stuff. So I tell you what I think. I tell you what I would do. I tell you, like when I have guests like yourself, we'll have a few questions. We'll talk about things that are interest to both of us. But at the end of the day, you're going to know who Jay Skinner is if you watch your show, and if you want to do business with you, it's like there's no more of this. You've turned that into a pretty warm call by doing that. You're literally doing a cold call every time you go out and do a show to some new customer, right? Some new
Mhm.
potential customer. And I think it's good stuff, and it's fun.
Thanks.
It's
And
just fun.
what I can do is someone's calling me, we'll talk about, maybe they'll talk about an issue or a problem they're having at work or a project. Uh, I'll get on my YouTube list, look down through topics from the last 2 years, say, I'll send you this link. At the beginning, I talk and chat and other things, but right in the heart of this, I talk about how I attack that particular situation. One of the biggest and most viewed shows that I ever did, and I continue to talk about it and I point people to it is about live trade shows.
Hmm.
Because as people were still holding back, I'm saying it's time to get back out there, everyone. So I
Right.
did a live trade show down in Orlando, did another one in Vegas, and I broadcast through some of it. I also developed a whole multi-point. Here's how, as a attendee or exhibitor, what you should be doing in order to get the most out of these trade shows and really make things happen. And boy, I'll tell you, the views are huge, and it's a great lesson.
Hmm.
So that's an example of how I use this to help people learn and get better.
Exactly. Love it. Helping people get better, grow the business, do it ethically. If you do all those things, it's more complicated sometimes in the world of sales, but it's uh, it's so much more than just. And that's a key that I always try to remember, and we'll talk to anybody that wants to listen. Is those are I'm not saying those are more important, and maybe I am. We'll think about it. But then the dog and pony show. I mean, I can dog and pony as good as anybody in my product. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if you want a dog and pony, I can bring out a screw, and you will be bored listening to how incredibly intelligent I sound about this screw, right? But
Yeah.
what's
Kind of
really
like I
important,
was riffing on the plastic pallets earlier.
exactly, exactly. But at the end of the day, it all starts is, do I trust this guy? And do
Mm-hmm.
I believe in this guy? And the other stuff does count. I'm not saying it doesn't. But if you have only all the technical stuff that you can spiel off, but you don't have the ability to develop that relationship and that trust and that belief, then you're just another guy trying to peddle a product that does. I don't. I'm not the only guy that has anything I have, right? So
Right.
you if it becomes what it does it, you got to get yourself right out of the price only range. And if all I have is this and everybody else has one of these two, it becomes much more price sensitive than if you trust and believe that I'm going to help you now. And that's why people like I know like you, I can tell with you, that's why when we've been doing this for as long as we have customers that we have their sons and grandsons that are now buying from us, right? Because you build that trust and relationship level. That doesn't mean can't do all the rest too, or you have to do all the rest, right? Business is still
Yeah.
business at some point, but it's a big part. And so I just appreciate that you came on and shared a lot of great wisdom today. And people got to watch your show, the Buyers and Sellers Show, every Friday at what time?
At 10:35 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Eastern. Perfect.
The good
Perfect.
news is if they miss it, they can find it easy. Just go to
Easy.
my website and hit the tab.
There you go. And the website's been running across the bottom. As we wind down, Jay, number one, thank you so much for being on. But
Mhm.
what seldom ask questions or should ask questions. Or Wes usually pops that up, so I don't forget. But he's probably taking a nap. Or yeah, oh yeah, see, he took it away now because he was taking a nap. Anyway, what did we miss? Final word from Jay Skinner. Anything we missed? Anything you want to leave with the folks?
Yeah. I want people to take a deep breath right now. This is a weird time in the world. And there's stress sometimes right now that's beyond any amount of stress that perhaps you've ever even had to endure. And I want you to know that it's going to be all right. You need just to put one foot in front of another, do correct and right things one step at a time. Get in touch with people like me and Randy and let us chat with you, talk about whatever's going on with you. Forget the business. This is tough right now for some people. And I just want you to know it's going to be all right. Just keep moving in the right direction and follow Jesus.
Great words, my friend. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
All right, Jay Skinner, follow the man. You'll love it. You'll thank me later. Cheers, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye now.
You betcha. There you go. Jay Skinner. Follow him, the plastic guy, the CEO extender.com, the host of the Buyer and Seller Show. You really do want to follow this man. I'm blessed to have got to know him and consider him a friend now at this point, and just a great guy. So follow the guy. Thanks for watching today. And we talk about it a lot, and I'm going to keep saying it because you got to love it, live it, and own it. Because we only get one shot here. Let's make the most of it every single day. Live it, love it, own it. And if you're not doing it, love what you do and do what you love, because that's really important. Days can be long and days can be short, but if you're living it and loving it, it's just so much better. And with the final and parting words, you know what I'm going to say. Make today your best day ever. Until tomorrow. Cheers, my friends.